Daisy, when would you say people should take the GRE? Like how many months before, how many years before you actually apply?
I generally like the pay now, play later approach or pay now while you're playing approach. But I think something like the GRE that is a major currently as it exists, and I'm not saying it should be this way or I like it, but that something that right now is a major indicator to what kind of programs you will be competitive to. If you're getting a 40, 50th percentile on the GRE and you're applying to programs where their average is like 70th percentile, you want it, you're banking on being an extreme exception to the rule. And so I don't see how I think people should take the GRE as early as possible before deciding what programs and mentors they want to apply to, because that will
Mm,
tell them whether or not, or at least that was my approach. Sometimes I look back and think I could have applied before
yeah.
really crushing the GRE, and maybe that was a little like I was too focused on that. But generally, I think people should try to take the GRE to give them a sense of what programs they could apply to.
Mm,
And it could apply to some programs where the average is a little below their score. They could, and some programs where the average is a little below, higher than their score. But how many degrees of freedom away? Like what do
yeah.
you? Yeah,
I think I saw somewhere that you should pay less attention to like what your percentile rank is, but more like what's the interquartile sort of range. Like, don't worry exactly. Like, am I at the 70th or don't worry about your particular number, but rather make sure you're falling in a range of where they typically accept students.
yeah, and to that point, that don't confuse that national averages as average for doctoral
Right.
programs. But in this book that we're talking about, every program will have an average GRE, the GRE averages for the incoming student. And
Hmm.
so you don't want to be very, very far from that, from all the programs you apply to. And a lot of people think that the GRE doesn't matter because it's not about psychology, but it does. Maybe just
Mm.
because there's too many applications and
Well,
In
I'm
that regard,
sorry.
people think that because they have a high GPA, they're going to be great candidates. Unfortunately, that's no longer true because of grade inflation. Almost everyone applies with over a 3.6, and there are a lot of people who apply with 3.9s or 4.0s. It's like Harvard saying, if we wanted to fill our whole class, we could with valedictorians only. Um, the competition is great, and sometimes the only common metric are GRE scores. That said, the opposite trend is that more and more programs are doing away with GRE
Yeah.
scores.